Hello, teaching veteran Trey Reely here, and welcome to Band Stuff. If you would, real quick, please press like and subscribe. End of commercial. Today I'm going to talk about something very important. And it's one of those things that if you don't have a good grasp of it, particularly in your first year, it can really derail a lot of the dreams that you may have had about being a band director. We're talking about classroom management. Now, those of you that are watching right now might not be the optimum time if you're having problems with classroom management to put some of these things in. Might be better than nothing, but the ideal time to put a good solid classroom management plan in is the first day of school. In my experience with beginning bands, when they come in that first day, they're usually the quietest that they will be all year. They will be the most open they've been all year to hear what you have to say. So take advantage of that first day of school. Put down the classroom management rules that you have and stick with them. Now, I've got 5 things that I'm calling 5 non-negotiables for a beginning band. They're things that you should not negotiate on at all. Non-negotiable number 1. You tell them that they are to be on time to class. Now that sounds very, very simple, but you'll have certain classes, certain years that maybe this is more difficult. And you'll have to set your rules exactly on what on time means. I've taught before where the kids came from like a mile and a half off campus to get there. So I had to be a little flexible on exactly what it meant to be on time. But whatever you decide that is, stick to it and enforce it. It's non-negotiable. Generally, on time to me meant that they were sitting in their seat, they had their instrument out, they were warming up, getting ready to play before I was ready to start class. I like to start things kind of laid back, so I would let them talk and chat a little bit because it's, they're kids. But basically what I'd tell them is you can chat a little bit, but you need to play a lot. You need to get warmed up, you need to practice some of the more difficult lines, something that you're planning to play off that day. And you stick with that, and before long, that's just the way things will be. Now, how do you start class? This brings us to negotiable number 2. I just tell my class that I should not have to ask them to stop playing their instrument or to be quiet when it's time for class to start. Because I tell them when I step up on the podium, that means I'm ready to go. And so from that first day, I don't ask them to stop playing. I just step up on the podium. If somebody doesn't get quiet or they don't stop playing, I just step back off again. And we do it all again. And however many times it takes me to step up before we can get everybody quiet, that's how long it takes. And it usually doesn't take very, very long because most of the class is going to cooperate, and the ones that don't are going to feel the wrath of the rest of the class when they continue to have to do it over and over again because one person is goofing around and won't follow directions. Now, if you don't have a podium, it could mean just stepping up in front of your music stand can be your signal. But I just tell them, look, I'm not going to ever stand here just for fun. When I get up here, it means I'm ready to start. You just need to get quiet, and then we'll get going. And sometimes, to be fair, I'll stand kind of by the podium a little bit so they can kind of see that I'm there. I'm not trying to just catch anybody talking past when I stand up there. I'll kind of stand there, kind of maybe even talk with some of the kids a little bit and mill around a little bit. But when I get up on the podium, that means it is time to start. And they immediately stop playing and stop talking. If you will do that from day one, and that's all they ever know about beginning band, it will set your class up for success. Non-negotiable number 3. And this is such a simple method, but yet I've seen music intern after music intern not do this. One simple requirement is you do not speak in class. And again, I'm talking to the beginning band students. I tell them they cannot speak in class unless they raise their hand and I recognize them. I think you should do this even if you only have a class of 7 or 8 kids. You should do this. Because if you don't have this rule in place, they are running your class. They are controlling the pace of class. They feel like they can interrupt anytime they want. And almost without exception, when one kid makes a comment, then this kid wants to comment on that comment, and before long you have chaos, even in a small class, much less a larger one. I've seen music interns and young teachers tell the class this is what they're supposed to do, but then the first time a kid blurts out, they just answer their question. You've got to be tough about this, and you either, when they ask a question about raising their hand, you either ignore them, or you say, raise your hand, and if they raise their hand, then make them repeat the whole question again. It doesn't take very long to train them to do this if you're consistent, and it will help you maintain control of the class. Make them raise their hand, make them be recognized before they speak. Non-negotiable number 4. They must sit with good posture and good horn position. And tell the class that you will not play a note until everybody is sitting up properly and holding their instruments correctly. One of the characteristics of the best teachers are not those who teach things correctly the first time. It's those that teach it the first time and then are very consistent and very persistent in making sure their students do it right every single day. I think one thing that kind of frustrated me throughout my career was sometimes my failings at this. Because I do pretty good at teaching everything how to be done correctly. I'd even do pretty good at staying on for a week and a half or 2 weeks. But then certain things I'd let slide, and then a month later I'm looking over and half my trumpet players' right hand positions are bad, and I hadn't said anything in about 4 weeks. And I'd be very frustrated because now I'm almost having to, unlearn some things and reteach some things. So whatever you teach, be very, very demanding and very, very consistent until they're very strong habits in your students. And non-negotiable number 5, and this one is also to me is unbelievably important with your beginning band, is do not play one note past the first note if the whole class does not start together. Don't let one straight student here or there start later than everybody else. Again, I've observed this a lot with young teachers and music interns. It's like they're not aware of everybody in the group or something. But do not let one person play that first note late or get their horn up late and not be ready to play. Make everybody do it. And most of your class will cooperate, and again, the 1 or 2 people that aren't doing what they're supposed to do, they will feel the pressure from the other group as they get frustrated as having to start an exercise over again because of 1 or 2 people that won't do what they're supposed to do. So don't go past that first note if your beginners are not all starting together. And I think you can see how these 5 non-negotiables will benefit you in the future because you're setting very, very high expectations. And the overarching idea in these non-negotiables, and I tell this to the kids, I said, these are the things that you have to do to be a great player. And I'll tell them that I have never seen a great marching band, a great concert band ever that doesn't do the small things really, really well. And I tell them that, I said, I can't imagine you guys signing up for band and saying, hey, I'm going to be in band and I'm going to get in and I'm going to be terrible. No. I said, you guys should be getting in band so you can be great. We want to be great. And if you're not here to be great, I'm not sure why you're here. We want to be great, and to do that, you have to do these small things, because if you're not willing to do these small but very important things, then you're not going to do anything much better than that. And so if you can convince your kids this idea of this is what it takes to be great, and you convince them that they want to be great, a lot of them want to be already, and that's your reasoning behind what you're asking, I think you'll get a very, very high cooperation rate. So I think it's important that you just don't tell them to do these things, but tell them why you're doing them. And I think many of them will respond to that. And so you're laying down this idea of excellence and doing things the right way that will serve them all the way until the time they graduate from your band program. If you've got other non-negotiables that you use for your program. I would love to hear them. Feel free to put them in the comments section. I'm sure there are others out there. Those are just the 5 that I felt like were the most important to get your beginning band off to a great start. Best of luck to you.